Hello, hello, and welcome to Encountering Spirit with me, Nicolas, your host. We're coming live from my place in Sydney, Australia. Had a bit of another technical start with Spirit taking off my electricity today. And now I've got guys in the kitchen replacing the electricity bulbs. And so this is how it rolls. We all, when we're stepping into following the voice of our intuition, spirit, sometimes we're going to have challenges. My challenges are always, as you guys know if you've watched me in the past, technology. And it's still happening, with my electricity pretty much been off all morning from about 8 o'clock. And still trying to power on through and get this done. I'm so excited today. After the whole shifting stuff on the weekend, the 11/11s, we've had new moons and we've had Venus and Mercury's and retrogrades and all sorts of things happening. And when I woke up this morning, I really felt this sense of endings. Endings of cycles, endings of the old, and this beautiful energy kind of coming up. And I just want to just give a shout out to those out there who are also feeling this kind of shift, this change, this calling to kind of step up and be seen in your authenticity. Today we've got a beautiful man, a soul brother of mine, Nicolas Perrin from Lionheart Coaching, and he actually, one of his things is authentic speaking and how do we actually speak from the heart, and what are our intentions behind our words. And I'm really keen to have a chat to him and how, just to hear about his journey. He's come back from overseas on an Eat, Pray, Love, a definite human journey, and I'm not too sure if he's spoken about it elsewhere, so this might be a little bit of an exclusive. Today, before he jumps on though in a couple of minutes, actually while I think of that, I might as well just tag him now. Alrighty, how do you do this, kids? It's every week it's the same story. Alright, tag a friend. Okie dokie. No. Alright, I'll figure that out in a minute. In the meantime, I just wanted to, I guess introduce a new kind of segment or whatever. As I said, I woke up spirit this morning and that they were saying it was endings, and I think part of this thing about endings is that we're so keen to kind of be birthed, we're so keen to jump into this new energy, and get rid of the old, and look at our patterns and destroy it all, and then wait for this beautiful energy to come through and give us that kind of nudge that we need. And I think what we forget about is really celebrating the old. When I woke up this morning, spirit, no electricity. I was guided to my book shelf, as I often go to for inspiration, and spirit reminded me just how long I'd been doing this. And I put a post on my Facebook earlier just talking about a chapter that I'd written in a book, and the fact that I was a published author, way back, almost 9 years ago now, and reminded me, this kind of message, this journey that I've been on, had started a long time ago. And when I read that chapter that I wrote, in 2000, that was published in 2011, I really got to see, that my essence of myself and who I was even way back then, despite all these changes, despite all these opportunities, I'm the same. And I think that's the best part of okay, Nicolas is. So yeah, I was just so I've just invited him now, so he should pop up soon. So I was just saying, blah, 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 what were you talking about, Spirit? Oh, yeah, like, just being able to celebrate, while we're going through these changes and, we're asking to step up and, we're being challenged, I really, advise you to take that pause, maybe go back to your journals a couple of years ago, see what you were manifesting, go and celebrate your journey, go and give yourself a pat on the back. I think for me, as a person, I consider myself on a spiritual path, on the path of my heart. We forget about, just how far we've come. Like for me, I'm always looking at her in the horizon. I'm always looking at the east, and yeah, just forgetting about how far that I've actually come. And so, please take some time, this week and the next couple of weeks in this month of November, while, it is an 11 month and an 11 year, 22 for foundations, take the time to really celebrate, appreciate, be grateful, thank Spirit. And oh yes, here's Nicolas now. Thanks, Spirit. And, that way I feel that is really and truly the abundance. Okie dokie. So I'm just going to invite Nicolas on now. Add. Lose control and I think I like it. I'm so excited. What you do to me. You got me burning up. Oh, 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 I want you. I want you. Okay. That was a little jingle from Spirit. That's where my heart is at the moment. And just like I can't even tell you the journey that I've had with this soul brother. I honestly, just one of those total spirit encountering things. So look, I'm just waiting. I'm not too sure if here we go. Nicolas,
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm so glad we beat
We've made it.
The energetic technological cock block.
Yeah, absolutely. We made it. Yeah, I was thinking there's always a little test often with these things, and it's the rite of passage to get the message through, right?
Every time I think, every time I kind of step out to, speak in my authentic voice, there's always that internal nervousness. And I think that's me affecting the technology.
It's all good. We're sending out nice, tranquil, sweet vibes for effortless connection and having fun and adding lots of value for other people.
You know what? I can't wait, Nicolas, because you have added so much value to my life just on a personal level. And you know what? I think you might only been in my life maybe 3 or 4 years. It hasn't been that long.
No, it's actually probably a little bit less than that because I think
Wow.
it was only 2016 that we actually really connected face to face. But we were friends for about a year and a half before on Facebook. But it would say 2016, but there was a lot that happened in 2016. A lot.
Look,
and early 2017. So it feels longer.
Yeah.
But
look,
yeah.
I'm going to get right to it because, I've got all my plugs in and I'm literally just waiting for them to flick the switch so my phone can continue charging. So I just want to get straight into it and see, how long we've got. What I want to say is that, Nicolas and I feels like, this weird kind of, soul brother connection, like we just said, met 2016. So I don't actually know much about, your early days. I don't really know much about how Spirit spoke to you, what happened that you kind of said yes to the path of your heart and into service. And despite that, we have just, come together in miraculous ways, really. to heal and grow together, and just, you know, somehow come back together in our journey. So I'm just get you to like talk, you know, and I'm just going to start with, you know, Nicolas, what was it? You know, when did you hear that calling from spirit?
So you're breaking up a little bit. I'm just trying to. Okay, you there, McKenna? Because it's sort of broke
I
up a
just
little
said,
bit.
yep, I'm here. I just basically said, when did you hear that calling from spirit?
Okay, so 2006 was the first calling, and it came in a rather unusual way. My flatmate at the time, for my birthday, gave me a book by Cryon that is quite a famous channel now, and it was called The Magnetic Master, and it was all about the shifting of the magnetic grids on the planet. And I remember reading it, and I didn't understand a word of what he was talking about. Like, it was like another language, and I was like, "What the hell is this about?" But I still read the whole book. I read the whole book, not even understanding what I was reading, going, okay.
Yeah.
And it was probably a process of frequency osmosis. I'm going to say that was how spirit first started to speak to me. So through people, through books, through things in this material plane that seemed legitimate or seemed exactly, and was kind of sharing the messages in the background. So that was the very first thing. But there's another important step forward for me, which was in 2007 and 2008, when I was still in the corporate banking world at that time. I connected with a powerful being called Julie, and she was actually one of the head trainers at JP Morgan. And we were connecting over how to improve team dynamics, how to improve the relationship of people in the team. And I was having a few problems because I was the newest person in the team. I was the youngest person in the team, and a lot of people didn't like that. So there was a lot of tension, creative tension, unspoken tension that I was having to encounter. So she was helping me. But one time in one of the meetings, she said to me, I really recommend that you read this book. And it was called The Disappearance of the Universe. And it's quite a famous book, actually. It's about a stockbroker where two angel beings appear to him, and his whole life completely transformed. So he was a very, you know, what you see is what you get kind of character.
Rational,
and I read it, and it really definitely spoke to me in many ways, in more than one. And at the same time, I hired a coach, the first coach that I hired in my life, to help me with communication and confidence. Because I was a team lead, I was having to deliver sharings to people in my team, and I used to get a lot of anxiety, be very, very nervous, and my voice used to choke up, and I couldn't say what I wanted to say. And I thought, I'm gonna have to do something about this, because it's really not gonna help me. And so I hired a coach, and within the second meeting, we started talking about quantum physics, metaphysics, how you create your reality. And I was like, I was like, what the hell?
You're in the banking world. You've never, you know, you've heard, you've never, whatever. You're like, quantum physics, what is this?
I was like, what have I signed up for? But the thing is, the reason why I paid attention was that the head trainer started saying the same stuff to me. Oh, do you know that you create your reality and everything's energy and this is an illusion? And it was, and then I thought, maybe these people know each other. So I then had to do a bit of cross-referencing. Like, there was some weird setup that I've been put into. I was like, do you know this person? And what's your relationship? And they were like, I don't know who that person is. And I was like, but I just met you both recently, and you're saying the same thing, and I've never heard any of this in my life before. Like, what is this about? And it was very, very powerful. So I couldn't deny this, because I was like, something's going on, and why are these people telling me this information? And I don't know, like, how can I move forward in my life? And that was how spirit first spoke to me, to answer the question.
So basically, in the corporate world, through a coach, quantum physics, and Cryon, that's a pretty advanced wake up call.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was interesting. I think the one thing that I had on my side was that I was always curious, and I was always
Yeah.
willing to give something a go. So that helped me, because I didn't shut it down. And
Yeah.
and I've always loved adventure, and I've always been, what if this is true? Like, what if there's something into it? Let me investigate.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a
Yeah.
bit like that. So in this case, it served me big time. It sometimes hasn't served me, but this time it served me.
Look, you know, there's always that saying, curiosity kills the cat, and, you know, sometimes it's the cat that needs to be killed so that we can kind of, you know, shift forward into the next phase, you know. So, you know, like,
Absolutely.
I've seen you, Nicolas, like you're saying to me 2016. If that's true, then I've actually
Yeah.
just seen you shift like light years in this, like in the space of what some people would, you know, kind of shift consciously, you know, within, you know, 30 years, 20, 30 years. You know, like I've been in this industry for a long time and worked with all different sorts of people in all different sorts of paradigms. And it just seems to me that, you know, what you've got going, you know, it's pretty good.
I just do my best. That's all I can do. And I always wonder, you know, what is the next step? And it's always
Yeah.
this continual invitation into the unknown. And
Yeah.
on some level, I recognize that a part of me / spirit / the unseen reality does know the bigger picture. But it's also the recognition that at a human level, I don't know. And it's how
Yeah.
can I become more comfortable in not knowing and trusting that process? Yeah.
In your humanness, being comfortable in your humanness. I love
Yes.
that. You know,
Yes.
and I guess, you know, when we kind of first got together and we first met and we had a beautiful exchange and, you know, all the ideas are popping and things like that, you know, I really, you know, we really both, we both kind of shifted into this eat, pray, love adventure, you know, and I know through definitely, you know, some kind of spirit, like surrendering anybody spirit help me now, you know, type moments where, you know, out of the blue things might have happened. Did you in your life, like not even, you know, recently, but growing up, did you ever feel that kind of surrender where you had to reach for more than yourself? And if so, how did your life change?
Yeah. It's not, well, I don't really have clear memories sort of as a kid. I
Mm,
definitely have many memories since the awakening process began in 2006,
yeah,
definitely. But before that, I was just a normal person, really, like any
yeah.
person, standard kind of human, you know. So
So there was
I'm
no,
sure.
you know, no, this is awesome, Nicholas, because you know, this is perfect because I think some people out there, you know, they go towards, I guess, you know, resumes or you know that, you know, I've been doing this my whole life since I was born.
Yeah,
You know, I've
yeah,
been, you know, when I was this, I'm a fifth generational, you know, witch. Like, you know, there's all this kind
yeah,
of, you know, I guess power, I don't even know what it is, but you know, like value in this kind of resume of spirit, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
as I
yeah, yeah.
just said, you were just an ordinary human, and within 2 years you're like on an eat pray love adventure, hanging out, healing lands and traveling and doing all sorts of things, taking risks that I guess, you know, what, 5, 10 years ago you never thought you were going to be able to do.
Very true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very true. But I think when I look at my experience and really see what happened, it was like those abilities, like the intuitive abilities, the psychic abilities, the high sensory perception abilities are all there. The thing is, it's like
Yep.
it's the releasing of the conditioned self and the letting go
Yeah.
of limiting paradigms, limiting perspectives, beliefs, thought forms that then allowed me to actually see what was already there. So in a
Yep.
sense, when people kind of have a resume, it's kind of a bit weird for me, because it's like, well, actually,
That's
our
me
true it's because the thing is, it's our natural nature. That's actually who we
too.
all are, and our
Yeah.
abilities are all. There's hundreds of different psychic abilities, hundreds, and intuitive
Yeah.
different ways of
Of course.
reading energy and all of this. So it's just about all of us really allowing ourselves to come back into the the gifts that already are there, And it's not really about having to actually become something or someone. It's really the revealing of what's already there. And that's quite a big, for me, that's a big paradigm shift, because then it's not about achievement. It's not about becoming someone or something or needing to prove oneself. It's just like, this is who I am. This is how I fit into the puzzle of creation. And this is who and how I can serve humanity. It's really that simple.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly there, Nicholas. Like, I think, you know, in my whole crazy journey of, you know, being a psychic medium and kind of taking that path of, oh, what does this mean? And, you know, trying to kind of explore the, you know, one of the biggest thing that I've found, even as a teacher, you know, teaching psychic mediumship, is that all it takes for your abilities to unfold is meditation. Like, silence your mind and you will become or discover, you know, and start observing outside yourself. You know, it to me, and I've always, you know, even in some of the courses, you know, taking people back to that simplicity of self, you know, and questioning, you know, where is this coming from? Is this mine? You know, and, you know, like you said from the beginning, just watching and seeing spirit reflecting to you in all sorts of ways, pop culture, you know, nature, you know, words of others. That was an amazing story. Imagine that, you know, this trainer in your corporate world saying the same language.
Yeah, I know. Oh
you
my
know,
God. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah.
like,
You know,
especially, you know,
it's,
and I want to make a point, you know, where a lot of us people who are on this path, or, you know, consider us conscious, you know, we kind of maybe look at the corporate world and we go, ooh, you know, that's a bit prickly, you know, there's a lot of unawake people there, a bit prickly, you know, but here you are, and team leaders and people out there in these places speaking your language. What a miracle.
Yeah, it is a miracle. And that's the thing, you can't really expect, you can't make a judgment call on anything. I mean, I'll give a funny example that happened when I was in the corporate world. So in the first energy training that I was doing was Reiki training. I did Reiki. I did my did six levels of training. I know there's different schools of Reiki. So some people, you know, just think there's 3 levels. Some think there's 4. Anyway, I did a particular school that did 7, and I was doing my 3rd level. And the week before, I had gone out on a crazy adventure out on town, and I'd very badly damaged my right knee. I basically did the splits on the dance floor, tore ligaments, did all sorts of crazy things. And in a way, that was a wake-up call from spirit going, stop it. Like, you need to refocus. You need to not be, you know, splitting your energy and being in environments that are no longer in resonance. Because I was kind of holding on a little bit to that old life of mine. And finding it difficult. So anyway, that manifestation happened, and it was a very strong wake-up call. Like, stop it, you know?
Yeah. I was just going to say, can you say that? Just that last line.
Crutches, and
you were holding on. Say it again.
So it was a wake-up call from spirit to go, stop it. I needed to actually refocus my energies into the direction that I actually need to be. And this was a wake-up call to go, this is no longer in resonance, you know, get the message. Like, it was a very, like, strong message. And I got it straight away. I realized. I went, okay, yeah, stop. And, you know, this
You're like,
kind of...
got it.
Yeah, it's a classic case of, you know, I think spirit, you know, shares the same message with a feather, with a little pebble, with a rock. But eventually, if there needs to be a boulder, or, you know, you need to get slapped in the face with a big trout, then, you know, then that's what will happen. And you know, our higher self and soul nature will do whatever it takes for that message to get through, in patience, in love, in understanding. So anyway, I was on crutches. And a week later, I had my 3rd level Reiki attunement. And I said to the class, I'd gone in, and the surgeon said, you're going to need to get your knee, you're going to have surgery, you're going to have the tendons fixed up and everything. And I tuned in, and I was like, I don't think I need to do it. I think I can heal. Well, this knee will be able to heal itself. So I go into the Reiki 3rd level attunement, and in a weekend, I was able to walk with no crutches in 1 weekend.
Wow.
So then you can imagine, I go back to corporate world, and everyone's like, we thought you were on crutches. What the fuck is going on? Like, how can you have crutches and not, right? So then I had to explain to them, and this was kind of a bit intense. I had to explain to them,
Wow.
well, I went and did an energy training course, and one of the benefits of doing energy training is that your body can heal itself much, much faster. And I had a couple of people ask for an energy attunement session experience. And so I started to do it, and people, you know, some people were open to it, some people were close to it. One guy was actually a very high level Mason I had no idea. He just popped out of the blue and he went, oh yeah, I'm a high level Mason in this lodge. And you know, you just never know who is
Do you want
where,
to join our party?
you know?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So I had to expose myself a little bit because I was living a double life at that point. I didn't let people know really what I was doing, and but that was a moment in my life. Yes, that was a moment where spirit was like, okay, now your life needs to merge and everything needs to become more congruent. Needless to say, I was only in corporate for another 4 months, and then I had to leave.
Wow. 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 And may I say, sorry, my electricity's just come on. Yay, spirit. So I'm just making sure I've got proper reception here. Okay,
Wonderful.
so I was just going to say, and I know while you were out there doing this corporate, you know, like, you know, doing the Reiki and hanging out, you know, being a team leader, you know, learning how to speak and use your authentic voice, you were also doing coaching, weren't you? That was your double life.
Well, no, at that point, I actually hadn't merged into coaching at that life. I was still doing energy healing work. That was actually the first type of work that I was doing with people. It was more energy work. It was transforming the transformation of energies, because that was actually the phase where I was at. Like my mother had passed over in 2010. So I was dealing with a lot of energy. There was grief, there was sadness, there was confusion, there was a lot of energy. So at that particular point in my life, I was actually doing energy healing. The coaching stuff really only kicked in from about from early 2012. That was when the coaching started.
Wow. Yep. Wow. And so you went straight 4 months from energy Reiki healing to then coaching 4 months later, or how did you make that transition? Because, you know, I think there's a lot of people out there who, you know, are in like, it's really funny because we talk all the, you know, me and you, we talk, and, you know, I'm like in the spiritual world trying to get into corporate, like, you know, but a lot of people out there are corporate world, like trying to make this shift into, you know, building a more, you know, integral, sustainable business that reflects their true spirit, and they find themselves trapped in the money of corporate and trapped in the you know, all of that. And, you know, I know, you know, from speaking to people and obviously yourself, that, you know, we can, you know, have an expression of spirit in all different ways, including, you know, being, you know, the head of whatever in a corporate, you know, company. But, you know, a lot of people are kind of, you know, looking to get more into the kind of coaching, more into having like setting their message. They've experienced some of this energies like guilt, greed, shame, blame up in the corporate world, and now they're really ready to get out. Like, what was it for you that allowed you to make that shift?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, be doing. I had no idea what I was meant to be doing. And I was at a retreat in October 2010, just speaking to people, going, I don't know what I'm meant to be doing with my life, but I think it's around helping people. It could be maybe client relationship stuff. It could be sales. It could maybe, you know, more with people. And basically from just being out there and just asking the question, I ended up getting hired to work for an inspirational speaker that was all about following your heart, how to use your intuition. And I basically did the back-end business stuff for him, and I worked on his business for about 1.5 years. So from March 2011 to June 2012, I was working in a business that was very much aligned to where I was wanting to go, but I was using my corporate skill set to make that transition. And what happened was in 2012 June, I literally one day had a job, and then the next day I didn't. There was something that happened on another level of reality where I got kicked out of that job. Like, I didn't choose at a human level to leave. It happened, and I was sitting at Bondi Beach, rather disturbed and actually quite scared and confused. And I was going, okay, this has happened. I knew that it was happened for a reason. I knew that it was not just something random. And I just sort of said, okay, what am I meant to do? And the message was, you now start your work. Now you get out there and share what you need to share. So then I created these 3 different workshops, 1-day workshops, and I was doing a combination of energy healing work with a little bit of coaching, because I'd done a 1-year mentoring program, which was all around intuitive coaching and intuitive speaking. It was a 1-year program, and it was about with 25 people. And that was kind of the base that I had to build up those skill sets. But the thing is, I found that it became very natural to me. So it was more a process again of revealing what was naturally already there. And then it was just about building my confidence to acknowledge, actually, I can do this. I can help people, and I can assist people to get great results in their life. So that was kind of more my human part.
Look, Nicolas, I think I really, just before you came, I was just talking about that, and I was talking about how at this time right now it does feels like there's endings, and how we often don't look back at our journeys and give ourselves like a congratulations, and it's kind of in those moments when we're like flat on the back, like what you were talking about, lost your job, spirit saying it's time for you to step out, and then things just revealing naturally, things up naturally. And in that kind of letting go, it's really important to say, hey, I've got, like you did, I've got these skills. I can put these corporate skills into a plan, into something that is truly representative of me, and synergize this new, like the old and the new, so that I can move forward in kind of this, creative way, this inspired way.
Absolutely. And I always feel like there's a transition place where we're continually moving into something new that we haven't mastered, and we're sharing what we've already mastered. And so there's some new bits that we're still kind of getting grips with and mastering and learning, which also means that as we continue to evolve, the people that we're helping will also shift, change, and evolve as well. It doesn't stay the same. Like if I have a look at the people that I've worked with,
God.
It changes. It changes, right? And it's important to not get attached to a particular group of people or to a particular problem.
Ooh. Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. And yeah, and I was going to say, particularly, when you are going out there and you're putting yourself out, as a healer, as someone, as a guide, as an assistant on somebody's journey, a lot of the times, we, and this is, you're going to laugh because I always had this marketing issue and about it. Look, I could never say who was my niche, because it just, I would watch the people that naturally came to me and ask me questions, and then my business would change, or my marketing would change. And, at the moment, I'm talking about going into corporate, because all of a sudden I'm seeing older men in CEOs, stopping me on the street, or, speaking to me, and I'm going, okay, is this my new niche now? How do I step up that level? How do I raise my vibration so that I can hold some of these things that these others are holding, in order for them to shift it?
Exactly. And actually that's a great initiation, because someone who's, say, a CEO or top level management, they're very intelligent people, they're very switched on people, and they're very good at creating, they're very good at making decisions, they normally are good at leadership, and they're also okay with conflict and making the hard call and doing what's best for the group often, So if you can
do the work.
affect those people, that can have a massive ripple effect.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, we were just, you know, I'm going to just switch gears a little bit now because I'm dying to know about your adventure and, you know, just whatever you want to share about that. And, you know, then, you know, how, you know, the last kind of year traveling the world, you know, not even on a spiritual level, but just feeling into the land, hearing the people, you know, I think as, you know, stepping
Yeah.
into this kind of consciousness realm where we want to, you know, affect and have that ripple that you were talking about on a larger scale so that we can see, you know, I guess, you know, touching more hearts, you know, igniting more lights, you know, fueling more fires, you know, and it's really, you know, talking to us about, you know, this global consciousness, you know, a lot of us on Facebook call the Amazon, you know, like, you know, volunteering, you know, all sorts of getting really deep on their wounds and
Yeah.
seeing it on a global level. And, you know, I know that that's what the trip really did for me, really connected me to some,
Yeah.
you know, people's who on a human level, on an ancestral level, just needed such unconditional love. And, you know, coming back here and grounding in Australia, you know, I know that, you know, I just want to continue to, you know, do the healing support. And so, yeah, like, you know, what's going on, Nicolas?
Good question. Great question. So, well, there's a couple of things I want to share. The first thing I want to share is that sometimes spirit works in very interesting ways. So, for me, the whole of 2018 was to fall in love with humanity. And so, what spirit said to me is, can I go into places that I would in the past avoid, because that was my truth back then, but now it had shifted. So, for example, can I go into a bar, have a beer with someone, and meet that person where they're at, and not need to change them, not need to improve them, not need to
Yes,
do anything, but just but really hold space for that person.
yes.
And if they open a door to then be of service and to be able to assist them with that, but without actually needing to push anything. And that was a very big process for me, very big initiation, because I was only spending time.
Yep,
Oh yeah,
yep,
I was only spending
yep.
time with people that were on the spiritual path, people that were, you know, awakening consciousness, people that were kind of in that realm. And so I was a little bit disconnected
Yep.
with the mainstream world, and I was not really, let's say, in harmony or in resonance, and I was a little bit in separation. So this year was all about bridging that and about how can I unconditionally love myself and honor my needs and what is true for me, but in relationship to other, in all countries, in all conditions, with all backgrounds, with all beliefs, with all everything. That was the training. And I mean, I went all around the planet. As you know, I went to Central America,
Wow.
South America, all over Europe, Egypt, South Africa, Thailand, Bali,
Yep.
Japan, you know, to name the places. And so I got
Basically every
initiated, you
continent
know.
except Antarctica.
Yeah, well, not Antarctica and not North America this time round, but I have been to the US before, but not
Yep,
this time round. Yeah,
yep, yep, yep,
but I
yep,
want to
yep.
answer the other question, because that's a great point you've raised, which is
Yeah.
I got to connect with a few of the different indigenous tribes through a couple of amazing events. One was hosted by the Anawa people. The Anawa is they are bridges bridging, let's say, the Western world to the indigenous world, and beautiful two people running that, Rudy and Vivian. And Vivian is from Brazil, and
Mm.
Rudy is from the United States. And they were great, beautiful people
Wow.
that brought together tribes from all around the world. And it was
Wow.
amazing to see the commitment that the indigenous people from around the planet are wanting
Ooh.
to share their ways with the people in the Western world,
Knowledge.
because they
Yes.
recognize that
Thank
the people in the
you.
West need help, right? And it was, you know, we
Yes.
met people from, they were from Central America, North America, South America. There were African tribes. There was, unfortunately, no Aboriginals, which was really sad, actually. Like, I would have loved to have seen
Oh.
Australia represented, but the Maoris were
Yeah.
represented,
Represent.
and
Yeah.
also
No.
there were very few Asian was not represented, and traditional European Druidic
Yeah.
slash Celtic was not
Wow.
there either. Would have loved that,
Wow.
but you know, there was that was one event
I
in
have to ask.
Ibiza that
I
I
have
went
to
to.
ask.
Yeah, go.
I have to ask quickly. Was South Africa represented?
No, it was not.
Oh.
It was not. Well, actually, in one of the gatherings in Panama, there was one South African tribe. I'm just trying to remember the not the Hottentots or the Bushmen. They're in the Western Cape.
Khoisan?
Say it again. Khoisan. Yes,
Khoisan.
they were there.
Yeah,
Khoisan were there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they
wow,
were
that's amazing.
yeah, there's a great event in Panama every year called Global Tribal Gathering. You can Google it, and they have about 40 different tribes represent, and it's pretty intimate. And if you really want to hang out with the different tribes and see what what your resonance is, everything is there. I recommend it.
Awesome.
I went this year in February, and I'm going again in February next year.
Yep. Nicolas, can you please put that in the note, like put that link or that for the viewers in the notes?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
We've
I'll put
got
both.
so much. We download so much right now, and I just want to keep that energy going, and so Panama, and so what what was your experience like taking away all this and just meeting these people, these indigenous people? What did you feel? What did you see? What did you take away from it?
I love their humor. Beautiful, very funny, very humorous, very cheeky. And the elders, like some of them, in their 80s, 90s, very, very playful, very cheeky. I love their purity. Like some of them were just so pure, like this absolute purity. And this combination of, I would say, like a childlike kind of playfulness and curiosity with this very deep wisdom. And I loved how they were able to bridge both. And also this absolute desire to really, really share the wisdom of their particular tribe with the world. And they're onto it. Like there's a lot of indigenous folk that are doing extraordinary things all around the planet because they really, really feel the need to get out there and share with people a new way. I really honor them for that.
Look, it is, it's a calling, I think, that, a lot of people on this planet are feeling right now. We talked about getting back to authenticity, but just, getting back to self, and I think some of these indigenous ways, can help us get back to the center. And, we talk about collective consciousness, I'm not surprised that, like people, these indigenous shamans, these indigenous medicine people around the world are feeling this need to help people get back to the center, because I know when I went overseas, the kind of distance between self and the center, especially when I went to like New York, some of these crazy cities, was so far, like people couldn't even hear their intuition. There's so much lights, there's so much noise, and I really feel, even inside of me, to assist people to be able to navigate through that and find their center.
Yeah, unfortunately, city environments aren't designed to help people connect to their true self, or it's not a supportive environment for calm, harmony, peace, stillness, because of all the electromagnetic crap. Everyone's living on top of each other. It's designed for intensity. It's designed for instant gratification. It's designed for go. So you really do actually have to kind of take yourself out of those environments, or you have to master how to hold a space of stillness amongst the chaos. But that is not, I wouldn't say that's a beginner skill set. That's actually, a reasonably advanced level of mastery, to do that. And sometimes I can do it well, and sometimes I need to take myself out of the city to regain that center space to then emerge and go back in. I've just come back from a 4-day wild guerrilla camping trip with my friend Samuel in Queensland, and it was amazing to be in absolute bush with no humans, nothing, just the earth, just the ancestors. The ancestors came and said hi on every single night, and also, of course, our beautiful star galactic beings through the star systems that we were connecting with as well.
Wow, look, I'm going to talk to you about that in a little bit, because I do want to ask about that, and just the Rainbow Bridge, and some of that cosmic-y stuff. But before I do,
Yeah.
like, there's this one question on my mind, and it's like, you would have gone into places, I know, because we met in South Africa, Cape Town, and I know
Yeah.
some of the places that I, encountered just in South Africa, and knowing that you were purposely going and challenging yourself, how did you hold, like, I know, even in some of the frameworks, and was speaking to people, some of the things they were saying really triggered my humanity. And yeah, I had to hold, and accept. I mean, how was that like for you?
Yeah, well, when I look back over the 18 months, I feel that there were phases of what manifested. And, like, I mean, for example, like when I was in Japan, Japan's a very interesting country. It's really, there
Mm.
isn't any other country on the planet like Japan. And I, I, I connected to the suppression, like this very deep level of suppression, people really not being able to be themselves.
Wow.
Um,
Uh,
and then of course all the sub underworld currents of how the built up energies that are not allowed to express because of honor. And I remember, feeling this very kind of like I found that I went into nature. I went into the beautiful Japanese gardens that are so immaculately, maintained. I found connecting in
I love
to
Zen
places of
gardens. They're
nature really
amazing.
beautiful. And I went to a lot of the Japanese temples, and I would spend time in the temples,
Uh,
just be quiet and connect to the energies,
what
and
is that?
still
Is
my
it?
space, still myself there.
I was just going to say, Japan, that's Shintoism, isn't it? I know that they've got some really
There's Zen.
deep.
There's also Zen Buddhism. There's a
Yeah.
few different things, but yeah, Shintoism. There's a few different traditions there uh,
Mm.
going on, but yeah, but very beautiful. And so I found, for example, Tokyo is as crazy as New York. Like really,
Wow.
it's as intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different type of crazy, but it's up there. Yeah, really crazy. I actually got overwhelmed. I don't get overwhelmed often, but I got overwhelmed when I was in Tokyo, and I was sleeping
Mm.
in a coffin, literally. One of those
Wow.
what do they call them? Shoebox hotels. Like you've got a coffin. You literally that's your
Yeah.
space. You've got
Yeah.
a coffin.
Yeah. I've seen them, like a cube. You just kind of have a
the cube?
hostel, and you have like a cube. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a ladder to go into your cube, and you literally can just
Oh
sleep in
my
there.
gosh.
And so I had this intense feeling of like of being like an insect. That's what I felt like, being an insect. And
Yeah.
it triggered me, just
Yeah.
the intensity of the lights and the flashing, and everything was in Japanese. And um, um, yeah, I did find it challenging, and so I had to go into nature to kind of
True
just take some time
human.
out to
Sounds like a battery
yeah.
human.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they work very hard there. Work. Very, very hard.
Mm.
Yeah. People in the morning at 6:30, 7 in the morning, sleeping. They have their heads touching their knees. They're sleeping because they add an hour to work is another hour of sleep and an hour on the train back. So they add you get those 2 hours on public transport.
Wow.
Mm,
Wow,
yeah.
wow, wow. And so, how did you find spirit in that moment where you're, basically injected into this battery human environment, where people are literally, raised to be economic benefactors of, the Japanese government?
Yeah, I did also connect to spirit through the ancient Japanese tradition. Like I really connected to the samurai tradition, and
Yeah.
to going into like some of the places that kind of whether they
Wow.
were museums or whether they were uh,
Yeah.
different places that held these ancient energies that I kind of could connect to, and I did find that I was able to connect to spirit through that. And there's a lot of beauty in, because the Japanese really mastered simplistic living, like, you know, even how you slept and cooked, and you had the common bathhouses, which I'd never
I
experienced before,
love
and
them.
yeah. So just kind of connecting to more of the traditional Japanese culture, I found very enriching, and I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed kind of immersing myself in that way, and kind of just being a little bit selective when in being in that really intense kind of modern, almost sci-fi, futuristic Japanese mainstream living.
Whoa. Yeah. So I just want to summarize for the viewers, because I think you've made some really important points, you know, there, just, basically how to stay connected when we're in big cities, when, particularly when there's lights and, as you said, EMFs and all sorts of, frequencies, vibrations happening, let alone the people that we're talking to.
Absolutely.
What you said was that, look, I'm going to be honest, I'm almost a black belt in karate, and I
Wow.
have
Amazing.
loved samurai traditions and Japanese tea ceremonies, and that disciplined kind of structure of serving self and spirit, that the honor and what it is to really sacrifice for a cause, with the samurai energies. And I really, to me, it's my heart. And so, when you said to me you were in these crazy environments, like where, let's, just look at the samurai, consciousness just in general, this discipline, this hard work, this honor, that now has been translated into some kind of like pop culture of like working hard and less sleep. And that's now become cultural honor, and it was
Absolutely.
interesting that, and I would say this is probably whatever city you went to, Nicolas, where you just, went to these places where there was history, where there was spirit, where there was, you could feel, in that garden, the work and the serenity that was put, after the work was done. You really connected into the spirit of the land, and
That's right.
this, to me, this is my heart, and that's why I just wanted to stop and summarize, because that's the key. When we were in these crazy environments, Sydney, doesn't matter. It could just be your apartment block. It could be in the country somewhere. There are people out there in community housing that are dealing with all sorts of stuff, going through spiritual emergencies and everything. And I love it. The key is connect with history, the nature of the place, go and see things. Go to the Blue Mountains, go on adventures with your friends, talk to trees.
The other option as well, which is useful, is the reason why those historic sites work is because there's a morphic energy field that has been created by people having repeatedly invested a certain type of energy in a particular place. So you can tap into that energy and very quickly attune yourself, but you can also do it by connecting into your spirit connection. So that's another option. Or you can connect into other dimensional realities that hold frequency. So, for example, some people might be very connected to, say, the divine feminine, maybe through Mother Mary, or Magdalene energy, or Kuan Yin, or.
Cool. Let me just stop you there. Let me just stop you there quickly, because you're going into my next question without even me asking it. Stop being telepathic. Okay, so when I first met Nicolas, I was all grounded, and I was like, meh. I don't want to know about no aliens. Don't talk to me about cosmic stuff. Like, I know about the stars, and I don't. But one of the beautiful things that Nicolas opened me up to was, connecting and really understanding what it meant to be a rainbow bridge and have this cosmic connection as well as this earth connection, and how that really, opened up so many more opportunities for me, in terms of what these energies that you were talking about and who I can call upon. But not only that, remembering, some of these energies, like, for example, Jesus energy, you were just going into divine Divine Feminine, Mary stuff, but that had been around me since childhood that perhaps I'd rejected, you know, because I rejected cosmic or whatever nature. So yeah, please, Nicolas, continue.
Yeah, so we all have different connections and different levels or different dimensional relationships that we can call on. And there's different ways to kind of get a feeling of what that may be for you. You can have a look at sacred geometry. You could see if there's any particular symbols that you really resonate with. You can also just kind of get a sense of what traditions that are out there on the planet, which there are thousands and thousands, what do you naturally gravitate to? So for example, last month I was in Egypt. I have a very strong connection to ancient Egypt. And I only recently found out that the ancient Egyptians and the ancient Mayans were actually connected. And I wasn't sure what my connection with the Mayans were, but actually there is a relationship. I need to investigate what that is a little bit more. But I'm going to be going back to Guatemala again, and I wasn't so sure why that was the case. But I have a strong resonance. So just follow the breadcrumbs, follow the white rabbit, so to speak, and
I'll just say,
like, for example, go.
If you want to, there's a look. You know how I just get anyway. John Velo Melchizedek. I'm sure in his Serpent of Light or one of those books of his, he talks about that connection.
Yeah. Ah, okay, cool. I didn't know that. I know about him, but I didn't know about his about that relationship.
Cool.
I'm pretty
sure because I'm sure it was a Serpent of Light, and I'm sure it was 2012, and where he was going into Guatemala and doing some work with the pyramids there and etc. So you know, I probably have it at home. I'll give it to you next time we see each other.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so for example, when I was in the temples in Egypt, I was just scanning with my eyes on the hieroglyphs because all of those symbols connected to frequencies and resonances. And by focusing on the symbols, you start to attune your life force energy to that particular frequency domain, which means that you start to resonate. So that's a very quick way of being able to shift your energy, to be able to attune yourself to an energy that you would like more of. Because as you attune yourself to that energy, you then open yourself up to the connections that are also resonating on that level of reality, whether it's in human form or whether it's in non-human form or in spirit form or in interdimensional form. You start to then radiate that frequency out into the universe, and other beings that are resonating at that level will start to notice that, and you can then build relationship just like as if you were meeting another human being. There's no difference.
Exactly, and that's friendship.
Friendship, exactly. Relationship, friendship. So there's many different, there's also the dragon energies. There's also there's star systems like Arcturus, Pleiades, Essassani, Yael. There's the Lyrans. Then there's other kind of galaxy like Andromeda. And I mean, there's many different things. And it's just about being curious. And I would say it's definitely about having discernment. Don't just open yourself up to anything and everything. It's about building the skill sets to understand what is going on. What are you opening yourself up to? What are you saying no to? But also having the proper energetic hygiene to be able to maneuver yourself in those realities.
Well, let's just talk about that for a little bit, because I think that's my main gripe, I think, at the moment, where, me, I've always been a little bit, I don't want no galactic aliens going and channeling through me. And, because for me, this discernment of, who's who in my spiritual zoo, how do I know exactly what I'm tuning into, especially when, there's light languages and people doing all different things, all sorts of alien beings out there, all sorts of fear-based concepts around alien beings too. And, in my experience of that kind of thing, personally, I just feel that, we have free will, aliens have free will, just like, me, Makeda, human, I can choose, in every moment, good or bad. That's how I kind of feel about aliens. They're kind of the same, these beings, also have free will, on a different dimension, so I try to not get into the fear of it as much, and just kind of into the acceptance of what I feel is going on in these galactic worlds.
Yeah, definitely. And having proper discernment is essential. And just to answer that question, and I'd like to share this because hopefully people are wanting to engage in that reality, but do it from a
Yeah.
non-fear-based place,
Yeah.
is the best way. The best way to do it is when you're engaging with anything, if you send it love from your heart and you notice what do you receive back. Because if the being is negatively orientated, it'll be like you sending love into a black hole. Nothing will come back. It'll just be taking.
Yeah.
And if it's resonating at a high level of love than you should actually feel more love come back. So, for example, if you connect with, say, Yeshua or one of the archangels, it should be an overwhelming amount of love coming back. Or you've also got to be careful that beings mask themselves as, say, Yeshua or archangel. So some people who are saying out there, oh, I've been channeling Archangel Michael or something, they're actually not channeling Archangel Michael. They're channeling a being imposing to be Archangel Michael, and they haven't actually done their due diligence correctly. And they're being tricked, basically. They got excited, maybe they opened their channel up, maybe, and they didn't have the skill sets to understand what is actually going on in the non-physical realms. And they've then made a relationship with something that is actually not what it says it is, but they weren't able to discern that. So it is actually really important to be careful and don't muck around with this stuff. Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's kind of the same thing. Like if you just let someone into your house, is the person going to steal everything in your house, which could happen? Or do you know that the person is definitely your friend, definitely resonating in a space of unconditional love where that just wouldn't be their intention or their agenda? It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. And I think, it's so, especially when people are going through spiritual emergence, and then I see it again, maybe it's a first spiritual emergence, and then I see it, as people start to grow and evolve, there is this, kind of, their frequency rises, but I think there's not really a kind of map, or people aren't really clear of where their frequency is raising to in order to open up at that particular point. There's no kind of mapping on, how, like, I'm looking at my life, are things flowing? Am I attracting abundance? Like, how am I doing that? Where's my ego at with this? Like, people aren't really looking at their personal practices. They're just tuning in.
Yes, that's exactly. And that can be quite risky. It's it would be the same thing of randomly setting your GPS just to randomly pick a location and then you just drive there. It would be pretty much the same thing that people are doing.
Well, it reminds me of the good old Ouija board, really.
Yes. I've never played that, but I do not intend to play with that. But yes,
but this is a thing, people just waking up over in the past, doing what, like, courses here and
the
coming. Can you hear me now? I'll just repeat.
for them, but it froze for me. But now.
Okie dokie, you there?
Okay.
No, sorry, I just Yeah. Look, there's a storm coming and I think it affects my reception. So I'll just change locations. Okay, cool. Now what was, we see, this is all happening again. I was just saying, that's what it's really like, when you've just kind of having spiritual emergence. And sometimes, as we're kind of raising our vibration, we're always having to look at what we were doing before, look at, is these tools still working? Because I think a lot of the time, we're kind of we get to a level, we go, wow, this is greatness, we can tune in, whatever. But it's like basically, grabbing a Ouija board and saying, okay, well, who's around now?
Yeah, and I also feel that the tools that we're using also evolve as we evolve. So don't get too attached to any particular modality or any kind of way of doing it, because it's just a way, and it's really just a permission slip that we can use to further deepen who and what we are, which will naturally come to a completion. And it's important because otherwise we can create an identity over that tool. So, for example, I'm a hypnotherapist, or I'm a Reiki healer, or I'm a NLP practitioner, or something. Stepping stones, which are assisting the growth and evolution of the individual. But there would probably be a moment in time where you hit a glass ceiling and it's time to actually birth into another whole level of reality experience, and potentially new skills, new learnings, new tools, new everything. Or also, it's simplifying. Like if I had to kind of pay attention to what is going on for me in my life the last kind of 18 months.
Look, I certainly agree, and I I know, like I said before, we've both been on this incredible kind of eat, pray, love adventure, challenging different parts, and now coming back, it's point truly do my training